Now, I'm going to try to explain this the clearest way I can. Our life follows cycles. For those of you who don't know, my name is Lawrence Harris. I'm a youth empowerment speaker. Long story short, I specialize in helping teens and young adults overcome limiting beliefs, build self love, to ultimately go on and build a positive life. But before we can get to building that positive life, let me fix my watch. We have to take notice of the patterns our life goes through. For example, you make a lot of money, and then all of a sudden, you start spending a lot more. That's a cycle a lot of people have. Or when you make less money, now you're in panic where you're like, oh my gosh, I'll never figure this out. But then when you make more money, you end up back in panic mode because you don't understand the cycle of how your emotions are affecting your spending habits and how this pattern is ultimately going to keep you in this loop. You want to go up, you want the bank account to always increase. But if you don't understand the pattern of how you spend money, you can't do anything about the problem. This case being overspending. Another example, the relationships we have. We often date the same types of people over and over and over and over, even if those kinds of people aren't good for us, because subconsciously we have a pattern that's telling us this is what I deserve, this is what I like, this is natural to me, this is familiar. And you need to understand where that pattern came from. Like the relationship with your family members. Growing up, you might have always saw arguments. You might have always saw, people hitting each other. You might have saw these bad things growing up between your mom and dad, or grandmom and grandpa, or your aunt and her husband or boyfriend or whatever. And that had led you to internalize that this is normal. You know this isn't good. You know bad relationships are bad, obviously, but it's normal. It's familiar. And somehow, some way, you keep seeking out that which is familiar. And you want the good thing to be familiar, so you'll keep going to that. But if that wasn't how you grew up, you need to look inside and go, what's the pattern here? Just, it's very easy to find it. It's very easy to find the pattern. Notice what happens. I make money, I spend money, I always end up back at this amount of money. I meet people, I date people, I always end up with this type of person. That might be it could be physical, it could be that simple. You always end up dating somebody who has hand tattoos. It could be that simple. Or it could be even deeper, like you always end up dating somebody with a certain attitude problem or a certain addiction or things of that sort, which are a lot, more heavy issues. So you need to look back on the pattern like, okay, why do I keep going to this? Why is this? What did you see growing up? What kind of music do you listen to? What kind of TV shows do you watch? What are you surrounding yourself with? Great example of this. So I was speaking at a high school a few weeks ago, and there was this girl there who she was telling me about how, Lars, things are going terrible between me and my boyfriend, and he's always doing this, he's always doing that, and he's always doing this and that, and usual. So I asked, well, how long have you two been together? A year. How long has he been doing the problem? Arguing back and forth and all this stuff. 7 months. And I asked her, why have you stayed for 7 months? Not in a judgmental way, not in a judgmental way, just in a why have you stayed? Like, are you forced to stay? Do you live with him? Because that makes it a bit more complicated to break up. And she's like, no, they don't live together. And her exact words were, and I quote, it's exciting. So I asked, well, what about this excites you? And through the conversation, we ultimately found that the reason for this was because of how she grew up. She grew up in an environment where arguments and toxicity and back and forth, and then, oh, baby, I love you so much. And, the whole thing where y'all arguing, and then he buy you a purse or he get you a ring, and now you're all back happily ever after. That's what you grew up around. So, because of that, it led to a pattern where this is the only type of people she dated. She meets all types of people, right? We've all met good people, We just have bad choices. We've all met good people. We just don't make the best choices. It's that simple. Anybody who says that, oh, there's no good men or there's no good women in the world, they're lying. They have bad decision making skills. And none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. We've all made some sort of bad decision in our life. We've all done something that wasn't the best idea. But the way that we can improve our ideas, the way that we can improve our habits is noticing the pattern. So if you have an issue in your life that just keeps popping up, your money, your relationships, your health. You gain 10 pounds, you lose 10 pounds. You gain 10 pounds, you lose 10 pounds. No matter what you do, no matter how many workouts you do, you always seem to go back to this weight or go down to this weight. No matter how many hours you work, at the end of the month, your bank account always seems to be at the same number. You went from working 40 hours to 80 hours, yet at the end of the month, you still got the same amount of money in your account. Why is this? You have to notice your patterns. You have to notice your habits. And by noticing the pattern, you can adjust it. Now, how, after you've noticed, do you take action? Like, okay, Lawrence, make this practical. Give me a step by step formula. Number one, identify the pattern, like identify the issue. It could be money, right? It could be as simple as making a savings account and not touching that. It could be as big as you giving that money, like a certain amount of money every week or whenever you get paid, to somebody and telling them, hold this money so I cannot spend it. You can automate your savings account. You can make a budget. There are things you can do, but the first step is identify the problem, identify the pattern. Okay, where do you keep spending your money? I always spend so much money when I go shopping. How do you spend it? On my credit card. So leave your card at home, only take $50 or $100, whatever you intend to spend with you. Because then it's impossible for you to spend 200 if you only have 100 on you. And you can't put it on a credit card because you left your credit card at home. You can't swipe your debit card because you left your debit card at home. And you can't use the Apple Pay because you took the Apple Pay off your phone. Now, when it comes to relationships, that's something a bit deeper. That's something that requires you to do more introspection and honestly take a step back out of dating, really. Because in order to understand what is good for you, you need the solitude and quiet and presence by yourself to identify it, to notice what do you like, what do you not like, what's good for you, what's not good for you. Because my definition of good for me could be completely different from what's good for you. It's like food, right? I love chocolate. If you're allergic to chocolate, what's good for me isn't good for you. The kind of people that I might like to hang around that are good for me might not be good for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about understanding you, understanding what it is that you want, understanding the kind of connection and friendships and just beauty that come when you understand yourself. And as you understand yourself more, you'll notice patterns. For example, I often have the same reoccurring thoughts of certain things. Like I often think about fishing, I think about podcast interviews, I have these same repeated thoughts over and over and over. And I ask myself, well, where did this pattern come from? Oh, this pattern comes from the fact that you're in your office. So you're going to be thinking about stuff you do in your office. And really, the only stuff I do in here is record videos, read, and make podcasts. I do like business calls too, but the main things are the podcast, reading, planning, recording videos, stuff like that. So, the takeaway here, understand the patterns in your life. Understand what keeps happening over and over. Understand what is it that is holding you back. What do you need to do to overcome it? What steps can you take to overcome it? And go out there Make it happen. Make yourself proud. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful, blessed, lovely day. If you guys are interested in purchasing my book, Power to the People, you can find the link to that in the description of this, as well as all of my social media handles. Have a good one.